Hey guys, how's it going? I want to talk about abortion. I mean, I'll just come out and say it. So I just want to give my thoughts, my opinions on abortion. First, I want to start off with I am a pro-choice person, um, but I am anti-abortion as well, right? So I want to explain. In my life, with my wife, with my kids, with my family, with the people I care about, we are anti abortion. What that means is if my wife gets pregnant, we're keeping that baby. If my daughter gets pregnant, we're keeping that baby. If my kids get a girl pregnant, we're keeping that baby. If anybody in our family, and that's her sisters, anybody, any one of them get pregnant, uh, we keep the baby. Nobody in our family has ever, no matter the circumstance, ever um, killed one of their babies. Right now, we have been exempt from something really horrible, such as like rape, right? Where nobody's gotten pregnant from a rape before. So we can't speak on that behalf because we haven't experienced that yet. And so I can't tell you with 100% certainty that would roll over into that, right? Like, I don't know. And I can say one thing right now, but um, um, so for example, if my wife was raped tomorrow, she got pregnant, I don't know that stance would hold true because I don't know if um, I could raise another man's child out in a situation like that, and I don't know if my wife would want to neither. Um, but at the same time, killing the baby, which is going to be 50% my wife, I don't think that's the solution as well. But one more time, I don't want to talk about something that happens one and every thousand or every 10,000 scenario. I just want to talk about in general, right? Because most abortions, I think 97% of them, they're abortions of convenience. They're abortions where, a girl meets a boy at a club, a bar, or just anywhere. It doesn't matter where they meet. They have intercourse. The girl gets pregnant, and then she's like, I'm not going to keep this little bastard. And, she kills him, right? And I say she because it's a one-sided choice. Women have all the choice when it comes to giving birth or you know killing the baby. And I'm using this language, killing, because that's what it is, right? You can be like, oh, at 2 weeks it's a fetus. Look, bro, I'm not going to play all those games. When a woman gets pregnant, there's a baby. You leave the baby alone, it becomes, it comes out of her tummy, her stomach, c-section, her vagina, whatever terms you want to use, and it becomes a living adult. Or I'm sorry, not a living adult, a living child, right? It's living inside of her, but it comes out, and we welcome it into the real world. um, in our lives, we are anti-abortion. As far as people that we don't know, such as you, we are pro-choice. um, so I'll say that again. In our lives, in my wife's family, and my side of the family, we are anti-abortion. For you guys, everybody else that I don't know and I don't care about, I'm pro-choice. I hope y'all have the choice to make the decisions that you all make. I hope that you choose correctly. I think that when it comes to abortion, I think that uh, a lot of the people that are pro-abortion, not just pro-choice, but pro-abortion, I think they push it. But the one thing they always leave out is the consequence that comes from that action. Um, I don't have the numbers right now. I'll probably just look it up on Grok right now. Um, but when a woman has an abortion, there's a lot of consequence that comes with it, right? For example, one of the consequences that nobody ever brings up is the constant state of depression that women live in after they perform that action. Now, are there exceptions? Of course, there's there's going to be a very small percentage of women who can do something so extreme and drastic and not feel anything. It's just the way it goes, right? Where they can kill their baby, they can have 5, 10, 20, 100 abortions, and it just doesn't affect them. It doesn't bother them. But one more time, they are the outliers. That's something very rare. For the vast majority of women who have an abortion, most of them are going to live a life of depression. They're going to end up on SSRIs. They're going to end up in this constant state of cloudiness. They're going to end up in this state of uncertainty. It's really sad, man. Women who kill their babies, they don't. Most of them don't end up being happy. They end up living a life of anger and depression because they killed not just a baby, but they killed a part of themselves, right? They killed something that was growing within them, which is their child. And the idea that you can take such a extreme action and there's not a equal or opposite reaction is silly. So that's the only problem I have with people who are extreme pro-abortion is they always talk about, well, you don't have the money, or you don't have the social status, or you can't afford it, or you're not ready, you're too young, or you have to finish school, oh, you have to get a career. They talk about everything but what happens after, which is women who do that tend to live a very sad life mentally, because they just killed their baby, man, right? And let's just out of curiosity, I'm gonna grok it. What percent of women who have abortions end up depressed? Right. So I'm asking Grok right now, and hopefully it comes out back with some good. A 2011 study from the British Journal of Psychiatry found that women who had an abortion were 37% more likely to experience depression. Yeah, so 39%. And then it continues. Estimates of depression prevalence range from 10 to 60% in some studies, right? So up to 60% of women. That's a drastic number, man. That's a drastic number. That's let's just say 1 in 2. One out of 2 women who perform that action will end up in a constant state of depression and on some form of SSRI to try to, stabilize their mood. Not just that, but a lot of women who get abortions, what happens during the procedure is they tend to damage like their uterus, their wall lining, and that prevents them from being able to have or give birth to future children, right? Where they're going to have a lot of complications. I personally, I have 4 kids. All of them are absolutely stunning and amazing, and I'm so very absolutely blessed that God and my wife blessed me with those children, right? I have 4 boys, and because all of them are awesome. They're all such awesome, great little people, right? And I can't imagine my life without them. I mean, before having them, I didn't imagine having kids. I didn't want kids. Now that I have kids, like, it's hard to imagine losing just one of them. I would die inside. I don't know how I would live if I lost even just one of them. I would just melt inside, man, because I look at them and they're just the most beautiful, beautiful things. I have a 22-year-old. He's a man. He's out there getting his dick wet, right? And, he just graduated from college and he's doing great things with himself. I can't imagine losing him, right? He doesn't live in the house with me. He hasn't lived with us in a long time. He's been doing the whole grown-up thing. And I cannot imagine waking up one day and knowing that he's not there, where I can just readily, drive to go see him or fly to go see him or anything like that. I just can't. I can't imagine my life without him because he's just so perfect. He's so amazing. And he's not perfect and amazing because he's my kid. He's just perfect and amazing because of his existence. Knowing that he's out there healthy, doing his thing makes me happy. Knowing that I have the ability to see him whenever I want to makes me happy. Knowing that he's out there living a grown-up life makes me happy. Knowing that he's out there hustling and bustling and doing his best to become a better man and to live his life as a good person, that makes me happy, man. You know what I mean? Abortion is a very sensitive topic, and the reason I wanted to talk about it is because, there's always this extreme conversation where you have to be either completely pro or completely anti, and that's not the case. It doesn't have to be an all or none sum game, right? Like I said, in my scenario, in our family, we are just anti-abortion. We just wouldn't do that. We just wouldn't. If my kid ever got a girl pregnant, we would highly encourage him to keep it. We would highly encourage her and offer support and offer assistance, because in our family, babies are not something that's convenient. They're blessings. Babies are the greatest thing ever, right? Do babies bring in a level of complexity? Of course. Of course. Everything gets a little bit more difficult, right? You cannot receive God's greatest gift without receiving God's greatest complexity. Or you understand, like, you get the greatest gift God has to offer, but you're also going to get the opposite of it. You're going to get the extreme highs, the extreme lows, the extreme fears, the extreme glorious that comes with them, right? As you watch your kid grow up, you're going to experience such extreme highs of just happiness. But at the same time, when they get sick or something bad happens to them, you're going to experience the extreme lows of fear and sadness, because all you're going to want to do is be able to nurture them or take care of them back to health or back to, being in one piece. And so when you get that gift, you get everything that comes with it. And because they are the greatest gift, it comes with the greatest fears. It comes with the greatest sorrow. It comes with everything that comes with. It's just the way it works, man. Every time my kids got sick, or they would have an asthma attack, or one time they got pneumonia and things were looking really bleak, man, me and my wife, we were terrified. We were terrified. We were begging God. We were talking to God. We were asking him, to please help us, right? And then after our child pulls through and regains health and everything works out, you go back to living a happy, peaceful, glorious life with your child. And when it comes to kids, that's just the way it is. You cannot receive the greatest gift without receiving all the things that come with that. And so that's why we are anti-abortion in our lives, but pro-choice for you. Pro-choice for anybody. My coworker, I'm pro-choice for him. Him and his, if he gets his girlfriend pregnant and they want to decide to kill the baby, well, that's your choice, bro. Just understand that she's not going to be the same person she was once that procedure happens. She's going to be a different person. She's going to become darker. She's going to become sadder. She's going to become distant. And so that person that you knew prior to her taking that action no longer exists. It cannot exist. How can it? Right? How can anybody, any living person, do something so extreme and come out the opposite, come out the end of that tunnel and be the same person? You can't. Right? It's impossible. And so I just want people, when they talk to others and they have these conversations, to just have a place of empathy for other people. If my wife ever got pregnant because she was raped, I don't know what I would do, because that's never happened. That hasn't happened to any of us. How would we respond? I don't know. But I would understand if she didn't want to keep it, and I would understand if she wanted to keep it, and she would understand my positions. And I'm saying it as though this is going to run off as a perfect scenario, and it's not. It's going to take a lot of arguments. It's going to take a lot of praying. It's going to take a lot of come to Jesus moments, and then we land where we land. But anybody that says they know what they would do from the instant, they're full of shit, right? Because those scenarios are so rare that nobody knows what they're gonna do once it happens. Nobody. If I had a daughter and she got raped at the age of 9 or 10, and she was pregnant by somebody, I don't know what the hell I would do. But what I would do is try to do what's best for my daughter's mental health, what's best for her, just her in general, because putting her through something like an abortion, it would just devastate her mentally. But at the same time, putting her through having that person's child would do the same thing. And so, as I say these things, just keep that in mind. I am not advocating for, those rare instances. I'm advocating actually for the majority of procedures that happen, which is like 97%, which are just done out of convenience. And I also don't buy into this whole thing that women don't know they're pregnant, or they're at risk of pregnant up until 12 weeks or after the fact, when they don't get their monthly cycle. I call bullshit on that. I do. Women know from the get-go. If I have sex with a woman right now and I do that inside of her, women know immediately, because women can feel the reaction, the action that happens inside of them. On top of that, all women, after that happens, they go to the bathroom, they clean themselves off, and well, guess what happens? If that happens inside of them, they know, because it comes out. It flows out. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Women know that. Men know that. If you watch any type of porn, you know that, right? Everybody knows from the get-go if they are at an increased risk or at the highest risk of getting pregnant from the moment it happens. The moment that deed is done, the woman knows if she's at a risk of being pregnant. So the problem I have is, if they know from that moment that they're at risk of being pregnant, why don't they do something, to prevent it? Take a plan B, right? There's other things out there like plan B. There's a liquid, or I don't know, some gel stuff that they can shove in there that kills off the sperm and helps to stop the process. Why are they waiting until 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 20 weeks, 30 weeks? Why are they waiting until that baby's developed with brain and heart and senses, where they can feel all the pain from a procedure? Why are they waiting that long to stop the process, right? Why not cut it off that day before anything happens, before that before that sperm has the ability to meet the egg and create this beautiful spark that happens, that creates unique DNA? Why are they waiting? Why aren't they stopping it from the get-go? So I don't buy this need where a woman needs 40 weeks to determine. Women, y'all know from the get-go if you're at a risk of being pregnant. You can talk about pre-cum and all this other trash you want. Let's be honest, man. Let's be honest for a moment. Women know. Men know. We know. Everybody knows. Everybody involved in the action of sex knows that person is at a risk of being pregnant. It's not rocket science, guys. We all know. So why are we treating it like it's this mysterious thing that, oh my God, I had sex and I don't know if she's at a risk? No, we know. If I busted inside of you, we know. She knows, right? I can try to do it secretly and be like, oh, and then pull out after the fact. But she knows because it's going to come out of her. It's going to come out of her immediately or later, but it's still going to be evident. So why do we need weeks, months, or even to the end of pregnancy cycle to get it resolved when it could be resolved within minutes, within an hour? You're literally talking about going to any Walgreens, any Walmart, almost anywhere, and just getting a little pill that can stop the entire process in its tracks. Boom. And I think that's the problem I have with the majority of the argument that comes from pro-abortionists is they talk about it as though it's something that's unknown. No, it's very known. I hope that none of you guys ever have an abortion, because kids are amazing, man. I never wanted kids, never wanted them, and then I had a kid, and he was amazing. He made me a better person by just existing. By him and just existing, I wanted to be a better person for him. I wanted to straighten my life out. I wanted to do better, be better. I wanted to teach him how to be a good person, be a better person than I could ever be. And in order to do that, I had to become a good person. I wanted to teach him how to take care of himself health-wise, but in order to do that, I had to learn to be healthy. I had to teach him how not to curse, how to eat trash food, how to be athletic, how to meet girls, but meet girls in a manner where he can build a long-term relationship. But in order for me to do that, I had to first do all that. You understand? Kids are the ultimate blessing in life. I own a game bus. I own a truck, an awesome game bus. I've owned motorcycles, crotch rocket, and cruiser. I have everything a human being can ever want. And I've had everything a human being can ever want. And none of that comes close to what the joy and just the joy, I guess is the word, the happiness that just one of my kids brings to me, let alone four. I hope that if any one of you watching this video are ever in that situation, I hope you choose not to abort your child, because that's your child. And they're amazing, man. They're fun. Having a child is essentially being reborn. Let me just paint you a picture, paint you a scenario, right? Let's say you're a man of my age, 43. You want to go to the beach. You want to jump in the water. Well, imagine doing it. It's kind of weird. Middle-aged man going to the beach alone in some Speedos or shorts, jumping in the water, splashing alone. Kind of weird. Let's say you want to go to a park. You're a middle-aged man, right? You just want to sit on the swing and think for a while. Kind of weird. Looks a little creepy. Seems a little pervish. You want to go to Disneyland? Never been. But now you can afford to take yourself. But you're alone at Disneyland? Really weird. Really creepy. Really pervy. You want to go to Legoland? Never been. Right? Yeah, now you have the financial means and you want to go. You never been. You want to treat yourself. You're like, this is something I've always wanted to do. But you go alone with no kid. Really weird. Really pervy. You can do that across almost every aspect of life with every situation. And in almost all cases, you look really weird, really creepy, really pervy. Now take all those examples and put a kid right next to you. You like riding bikes, right? You go to a BMX park. Now you have this little kid next to you and their little BMX, and you're BMX'd out. Well, guess what? Now you look like a good parent. Society is like, oh, look at him. Oh, look at that little kid. You take him to the beach. You play with them in the water. You splash. throw a football, baseball, basketball, whatever the hell it is you want to throw back and forth at the beach. Guess what? Now you're a good parent. You're at Legoland, Disneyland, anywhere with a kid, enjoying, having fun, living life, but not with a kid. Now you no longer look like a perv. Now you look like a good parent, an involved parent. Go to Chuck E. Cheese, Dave and Buster's. You're doing all this with a kid. But before you're doing it alone, it looks really pervy. Gonna get the cops called on you. Might get beat up because you look really freaking weird. But now you do this with a kid. Now you look like a good dad, a good parent, an involved parent. What I'm getting at is when you have a kid, you get to live life all over again. But you get to do it with somebody who wants you there. Somebody who needs you there, who just, every time they look at you, they look up to you. And it's their first time doing it. So you get to experience their first authentic reaction to doing anything because they're doing it with you, who is their favorite person, the person they look up to. Having kids is amazing. If you don't have kids, I encourage you to have kids, but don't do it out of wedlock. Do it with a woman who's not willing to ever get divorced. Do it with a woman who's willing to go through the mud, through the rake, to keep her family intact. But you too, no matter what, you got to work it out. You got to get through it. The good times, the hard times, the ugly, the great. Marriage isn't easy, man. Having kids isn't easy. It's fun as hell. You're never going to experience the highs as you will when you have kids. You just won't. You'll experience some really good times, but you're never going to experience the highs of having a kid because those are the greatest times, in my opinion. Some of you will be like, that's stupid. No, kids slow you down. They stop your life. Wait, look, to each their own. All I can tell you is from me and people like me who have kids, and most of people with kids, they'll tell you the same exact thing I'm saying. And so if you don't have kids, I don't expect you to understand, because how could you understand? You just can't. And so I understand if you were to be like, that's stupid. I get it, guys. I get it. Nicotine. So if you don't have kids, I encourage you to have kids because they're absolutely fun and amazing. And it's essentially your chance to be reborn. It's your chance to do it all over again. And if you have any regrets from your current life, you get to do it again with somebody who's going to look up to you, and you get to fix all your mistakes. All your regrets you had, you get another chance at them. You get another chance to make it right. You get another chance to teach somebody everything you never learned until it was too late. You get another chance to pass on all your knowledge that you worked so long and so hard to gain to somebody who wants to learn. But at the same time, you get to see somebody become their own unique version. And you get to see it from day one, minute one, second one. And you get to witness it, and you get to participate in it. And not just that, but they want you there. They need you there. They look for you when they don't see you. They knock on the door when you lock the door just to get a couple minutes to use the potty, right? And you see their little hands sticking underneath the door, and they're like, da, 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 da. It's fun, man. But it does come with pain, because you're never going to feel fear the way you feel fear when something bad happens to your kid. You're never going to feel sadness the way you feel sadness when you're on the verge of losing your kid. You're never going to feel joy like you feel joy when you see your kids accomplish something, especially when they accomplish something that you were never able to accomplish. If you're ever faced with the decision to keep or kill, I hope you keep, because they are so worth it. They are so worth it. But if you decide not to, I'm not here to judge. What I am here to say is I think you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Not only are you going to regret it, but if you're a woman, there's a very high likelihood you will come out the other end and you're going to be a completely different person than before. You're not going to be the same person. You're going to be sadder. You're going to be angrier. You're going to be in a state of trance, this sad trance, this depressed trance. And there's a 50-60% chance that you're going to end up on some form of SSRI, which is antidepressants. On top of that, you're going to end up in a, I'm not going to chatbot it or grok it, but you might end up in the one of the small percentage. I think it's like 15 to 20%, where you actually take away your ability to have future children because you just damage the lining of your wall so much from the procedure. I've had a lot of regrets in my life. A lot of regrets. I've had a lot of things that I should have never done. But having kids gave me that ability to change and to teach them so that they don't have to go through that and they can make a better choice. And when they meet somebody that they care about, to teach them how they can enjoy that person without taking advantage of them or doing other things that are just not right. But it also gives you the chance to relive or do things that you never had the opportunity to do, but to do it with somebody that wants you to be there and wants to experience it with just you. And of course, the mom and whatnot. That's what I wanted to talk about. I've heard a lot of conversations in regards to this topic, and none of them do the topic justice because it's always, either extreme this way or extreme this way. But I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about the nuance of it. And the nuance is you can have multiple positions based off of where you're currently at. I hope none of you, if anybody watches this, I don't know if anybody will. I hope none of you decide to do that. I hope you decide to keep the baby. I hope you decide to give it the name that you want. I hope you get to see them put on a soccer jersey when they're 2-3 years old and run around the soccer field and then sit down in the middle of a game and pick flowers and pull grass. And then all of a sudden just randomly start rolling in the grass in the middle of a soccer game because it's the cutest freaking thing you're ever going to see. And then, at the age of 5, when they get a little bit more, you actually see them learn to dribble the ball and maybe even score. And then the excitement you get from seeing them score the first goal. It's amazing, guys. So be very careful on how you choose. Don't fall prey, don't fall victim to these extreme people who want to take you to the extreme ends of both. Because it's weird, but when you start the cycle, when you go full extreme one, eventually you end up right back at the same place you started. And the left might take you to the left, but eventually it brings you right back. The right might want to take you all the way to the right, but eventually it takes you right back to where you started. So they both end up in the same place, which is with a lot of regret. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for taking the time. Kids are great. They're absolutely amazing. Those are my 4. My oldest one, he just graduated. He's absolutely amazing. He's got this cute girlfriend, right? And they're doing good things together. And it's not an all or none type of game. It's just what's going to fit you. And truthfully, in my opinion, the only way to go is the way that I believe you should go, which is keep the child and enjoy them as long as you can, because they grow up and they move out and they leave. If you did your job right, they will leave, and you're going to worry about them. You're going to be concerned about them, but they're going to be out there doing grown-up shit. And that's when you become the most proudest, because you're like, wow, my little boy, he's out there doing big boy things. My little girl, she's out there doing big girl things. Not the OF stuff, right? Not the OnlyFans type of shit, or the stripper type of stuff, or the prostitute. Like, no, like, where they're doing things that they're chasing their passion, their dreams. And maybe along the way they meet somebody and they're like, man, that's a good man. Man, that's a good woman. And then they start their own life. And then you see the process start all over again. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for your time, guys. That's all I got to say.